Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to show you guys how to set up a bubble counter and a diffuser in place of a standard diffuser that comes with the 20g CO2 kit that Fluval provides. The diffuser that you see in my hand is what comes with a standard 20g CO2 kit. And I have done a video on this. If you guys wanted to know more about how to set this up, you can look at it. But what I noticed is this is too big, and sometimes it doesn't really look good on a smaller tank, particularly if you're using a 5-gallon or a 10-gallon tank. So today I wanted to show you, what we can do in place of this big diffuser. What you guys are going to see here is an already existing setup. I'm just redoing it so that I can show it in this video. But everything that you see here is something that I've already used in another tank. And everything that you're actually going to see here is also something you can get it in Amazon for very cheap. And this is just a substitute for the big diffuser that comes with a Fluval kit. So what I'm actually going to do is before I'm setting everything up, I'm just going to lay everything and show you how everything fit with each other. And as you can see that, all my tubes are already cut in size. And depending on your need, depending on your requirement, you may have to cut it based on what you think is right. This is the valve. The valve will help you to control the CO2 going inside the aquarium. And that is actually a CO2 cartridge. And the next important thing is the bubble counter. Bubble counter will help you to see what is the rate at which the CO2 is going inside your tank. And the way you do that is, as you adjust the valve, you can see the frequency of the bubble coming out. The more frequent it comes in, the higher the CO2 rate is. The less frequent the bubble comes in, the lesser the CO2 rate is. The other side of the bubble counter goes into the diffuser, and the diffuser in turn goes inside the aquarium. As we adjust the valve, the flow of CO2 goes into the bubble counter, and from the bubble counter it goes into the diffuser. And you have to push the tube into the valve, and it's a little bit tight, and it's intentionally kept tight so that the CO2 doesn't leak. And once you put the tube in, tighten the screw as much as possible. And one thing that we have to be sure at this point is to make sure the valve is actually closed. And I've ran into problems where I've had it open, it ended up leaking. So just make sure it's closed. Once the valve is closed, tighten the cartridge and try to just push it in, and try to tighten it as much as possible, but just make sure that you don't break it. This is the bubble counter, and the first thing that we need to do is open the bubble counter and fill it with aquarium water. And that's my 10-gallon tank. And once you fill it with water, close it tightly and make sure that the water doesn't leak. And that's what I'm doing. It's tight. The bubble counter has actually two valves. One is the inlet valve and other is the outlet valve. The tube from the CO2 cartridge should actually go into the inlet valve, and you can see something like a stick on the inlet valve. And if you switch the sides, it will not work. So you need to be careful that the valve from the cartridge goes inside the inlet valve, and that's the inlet valve. The outlet valve is then connected to the diffuser, and that's a diffuser. And you can see it has a tube, and the tube is connected to the outlet of the bubble counter. And again, it's a little bit difficult to put it in, and it's intentionally kept that way. Once you tighten it, the setup is done. That's it. So you can see CO2 is connected to the bubble counter inlet valve, and from the outlet valve of the bubble counter, it goes to the diffuser. That's where I have set it up in my aquarium. It's very close to the filter, so the CO2 gets all over the tank as the filter works. And that is me turning the valve. And as you can see, as I turn the valve, the bubble starts coming in. Initially, I just have it coming in slowly so I can see how it works. And once you turn this on, it will take some time for the CO2 to come into the tank. And if it doesn't come right away, just increase the speed of the CO2 and just wait for a minute. It'll automatically come in. And there you can actually see the CO2 coming. And I have the CO2 right next to my filter. So as the filter works, it'll actually dissipate the CO2 throughout my tank. CO2 is only used in a photosynthesis, and photosynthesis only happens when the light is turned on. So when the light is turned off, there is no point in having the CO2. So you may very well shut the CO2 off if the light is turned off. The presence of CO2 without light will just increase the acidity of the water. And sometimes this off balance will result in algae coming into the aquarium. So it's not something that's desirable. And that's pretty much I have, guys, and thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day.